In a recent video, I outlined a basic thinking framework on how I approach 3D modeling. I think I have found an example that serves to reinforce a critical concept. First of all, this is not meant to be a criticism of OP. We are all at different stages in the learning journey. OP suggested doing this using an additive process. The thinking was to create a central portion and then add a circular pattern of thin features. The challenge of this workflow quickly became apparent, especially considering the curvature here. If we look at the comments, the overwhelming consensus is to do this via subtraction. But how do we even decide whether to employ addition or subtraction in the first place? To do that, we need to answer a very basic question, which was one of the first steps in my previous video. Is there a basic primitive shape? In this case, that basic shape is quite simply a cylinder with a fillet. We will shell this body and then perform a circular pattern of cuts. In this example, the recognition of a basic shape is a deciding factor between a very difficult and a relatively simple workflow. For a lot of people, this might seem relatively trivial. It often takes experience and a good eye to recognize basic shapes. Humans have a bias towards thinking in an additive manner. Even the more experienced modelers among us can fall prey to that thinking and jump straight into a model. In order to combat that bias, it is important to always ask whether there is a basic primitive shape. Having said all that, it is also good to think of multiple ways to model the same thing. In this example, I have experimented with using a thin intersect and also a creative use of shelling. If you have any other ideas, feel free to comment below. I might think of compiling them into a future video.